Hi everybody, welcome back. My name's Claire. I'm going to do another one of these. I'll link the video for this painting in the description if you missed it, but this is a flip cup and then I dotted on silicone afterwards to create the pattern. So really happy with this, but I don't like the colours particularly. Excuse me, it muddied. I think it was just the colours I chose. I was trying to go for bright contrasting colours, and I think that was my mistake on this one. So I'm going to do this again, but with colours that really blend well together. So basically pinks and reds, because it's on a heart, and some gold and some white. So they will blend and they will look fine together. They won't be muddying in the same way. Couple of things I'm going to change. One, my paint consistency. This was quite runny. It was 2 parts PVA pouring medium to 1 part paint. I'm going to thicken it slightly. So it's going to be a 3:2 ratio. So 3 parts PVA pouring medium to 2 parts paint. Other thing I'm going to change is I used the coconut serum oil to do this. I'm going to try the good old Spot On treadmill silicone to see if it has any different effects, different shapes of cells. So excited to get started. So here are my colours. So I've got 5 Amsterdam colours. I've got white, carmine, quinacridone rose, permanent red violet light, and which one's this? Persian rose. I've also got 2 Pebeo Studio acrylics, so the iridescent precious gold and the iridescent red blue, and then purple by Dale Rowney, System 3 acrylic. So as I said, I've mixed them. In fact, they're all there ready and waiting. I've mixed them all with PVA glue and water pouring medium. So I'll put the recipe for that in the description of the video. And it was 3 parts pouring medium to 2 parts paint. So in each of these pots, what were the measurements? I put 60 grams of pouring medium and 40 grams of paint. So you can see it's runny. It's leaving a trace for about 1 second. Let's have a look at this one. This is the purple. Actually, that is slightly thicker. Okay, I'm going to thin that. I think that's thickened up since I've actually mixed these. Right, that one is better. That's the consistency. So a trace for about 1 second. So there is a trace there. It's quite rich and thick and creamy, but it's got a really, really nice flow to it. So as I said, this is going to be a flip cup. I've got, is this a half pint? I'm not sure. I've got a plastic cup. I don't really want to fill it. I think it will be too much paint for my canvas. I'd quite like to do 2 layers of each colour. So I'm just going to drizzle the colours on top of each other, because they're quite nice and thick, so that they shouldn't mix too much. So I'm hoping just by drizzling them on top, they'll keep relatively separate. The alternative is to pour them down the side of the cup, but I think this should be okay. It doesn't matter if they do mix. So as I said, there's no silicone in this. I'm going to be adding my silicone afterwards. And I should say the reason I've made these slightly thicker is because with the last one, these cells expanded so much. So I just felt that my mixture might have been just slightly runny. So by making it thicker, the paints will find that it's more difficult for them to move up in between each other, in between the layers. So by thickening it, I should hopefully get slightly smaller, slightly more controlled cells. Well, I said I didn't want to fill it and I failed. That is pretty full, but I don't know if you can see along the edge, it's so pretty. So it's a 40 centimetre heart-shaped canvas. It's made from, I think this is some sort of MDF board instead of actual wood, so it is quite soft. So it's more difficult to get this type, I find it more difficult to get this type of canvas level, but I have put the push pins in and I have leveled it. So I'm going to flip the cup. So I think I will, in fact, let me turn it upside down. Put that on top. Flip it over. The last one I did, the cup was so full, I couldn't flip it. It was spilling out all over my hand before I actually got to turn it upside down properly. Right, I'm just going to tip this over. Wow, that is beautiful. Yeah, I've got a much better feeling about this one. Right, so this is the bit that I want to stretch out. This bit I will tip off, but I still wanted to put it on there just to create a bit of a flow extender. In fact, I think what I might do is just tilt it out first before I tip that bit off, just in case I ran out of paint. I don't think I will. I think I've got plenty here. Right, I'm really happy so far, simply because there's no real cells popping up and it's nice and uniform. So I'm just going to check I've got all the edges. Actually, I think, oh, tiny bit there and just a tiny bit here. Yeah, most of those edges got covered, so that was quite a good amount of paint. So there's quite a lot of air bubbles in here, but I'm worried about torching it. Because I think lots of cells will pop up and I don't really want that. So I think I'm just going to go ahead without torching. So this is the silicone I'm using. Spot on treadmill silicone. So I've put some in a little pot. I'm using one of these massive jumbo push pins. I just buy these from Amazon and I use them for underneath my canvas, but they've got a lovely little point on them. So I'm just going to use that and I'm just going to dab it into the paint. Right, first layer done. So my impression for this painting compared to the last is that they're definitely not as expanding as quickly, and I would say they look rounder than the last ones. I think I must have dripped some oil because I've got a random cell in there. So I'm now just going to do exactly the same again, but a slightly smaller heart. But I think I'm going to do it sitting down because my back's aching leaning over doing that. I'm so happy. I'm so excited. I love it. Couple of quite interesting things I've noticed. Well, one main interesting thing. Some sections, the cells are bigger than others. So can you see in the white section, the cells are much bigger compared to in this section here. So I think the consistency of the individual paints is showing through. So I think here where the white is, I think the white must have been runnier. Very subtly. White often is runnier. I did add extra white to try and get it to the same consistency, but then there's some pink here that they're very discreet cells, but much smaller. You know, they will get bigger with time, but if you think, you know, these ones here, I probably put down a similar time to these ones, and there's quite a big difference. So it's not just time that's having the effect. I think it's quite cool if you look at it with the light shining on it. You can see the silicone, you can see the little dips where the silicone is. I think what I love is it's very varied, but it's also very regimented. So the cells, yeah, they're so uniform, so regimented in such a lovely pattern. And the base colour is beautiful. So it is a variation of the colours. So it is a kind of muddying, but it's muddying into a beautiful shade of pink, which is exactly what I wanted. Instead of a grey brown colour, it's a muddy version of pink, which is pink. So really, really happy. The cells aren't perfectly round, and this is what happened with the other silicone I used. They became quite feathered at the edge, like that one there, quite flower-like. So far, I think that the silicone doesn't really make a difference which of the two brands I've used. The cells are smaller here, but I think that's because of the thickness of the paint compared to the other one. I think the consistency is what's had the most effect. So really happy. I will be back when it's dry. So it's now dry. I'm so happy with it. I love it. It's just so warm and rich and cheerful and fun and funky. Lots of things. It's dried really well. It hasn't moved while it's dried. I was really worried that the cells at the edge here would fall over the edge further, but they haven't done. I love the variation. You've got a gold patch, you've got a big white patch, you've got all the different shades. A lot of people said that the last one I did looked a bit like a mosaic, and I think I would agree with this. It looks like lots of little tiles put together. Just so many different shades of pink. So I think that works so well, having colours that just all complement each other, that all just blend in well together. Unlike the last one where they were real opposing colours. These ones just all work and blend beautifully together. There's quite a nice shine on here at the moment. A lot of the shine you can see at the moment is the silicone. So I had some people ask me, yeah, especially in that left-hand corner there, a lot of people ask me what I do about the silicone, and all I simply do is use a baby wipe to clean it. So maybe a few cleans over with a baby wipe, and then I've got a very specific varnishing method I use. I've got a video for it actually, so I'll link it, I'll put it in the description, where I put a very, very thin layer of varnish on, and I use a sponge to wipe it over, let it dry, do that about 4 times, and although there's silicone on there, I will have cleaned the majority off, and it just doesn't seem to be a problem. So yeah, I will varnish it. I will use a baby wipe, clean it, and then varnish it. So let me know what you think. It's another slightly fun one, slightly crazy one. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.